It was the day before Easter Sunday in 1980, and the Mercy Hospital Chapel in Toledo, Ohio, was quiet. Sister Margaret Ann Pahl, a beloved 71-year-old Roman Catholic nun, was preparing the altar for Easter Mass. She was known as stern but devout, the kind of woman who never missed a morning prayer. When she didn't arrive for a scheduled task, her fellow sisters searched for her. At around 8 a.m., they entered the chapel sacristy and discovered a horrifying scene. Sister Margaret Ann was found lying on the floor covered in blood, her arms folded across her chest as if in prayer. She had been strangled, then stabbed 31 times, 9 of the wounds arranged in a circle, eerily resembling a ritualistic symbol. Her clothes had been pulled down, suggesting a possible sexual element, although no assault was confirmed. The brutality stunned the religious community. A nun murdered inside a holy place. Detectives quickly secured the scene. There were no signs of forced entry, no valuables taken. Suspicion, though unspoken, began to fall on the clergy and hospital staff, those who had access. Among those questioned was Father Gerald Robinson, a 42-year-old priest who had been close to the victim. He had conducted Mass with her regularly and was the chaplain at the hospital. He said he'd been in his office that morning but heard and saw nothing unusual. Police noted some strange behavior. Father Robinson seemed calm, even indifferent. When asked to explain scratches on his hands, he claimed they came from yard work. He also had a weak alibi for the time of the murder. Despite the suspicion, no solid evidence tied him to the crime, and the case soon went cold. For decades, the murder of Sister Margaret remained unsolved, until 2003, when a victim of sexual abuse by another priest came forward with a tip. This man accused Father Gerald Robinson not just of abuse, but of satanic rituals, including the killing of a nun in the 1980s. The bizarre and horrifying claim prompted police to reopen the investigation. A search warrant was issued for Father Robinson's apartment. What they found shook the community to its core. Hidden among old books and documents was a hand-forged ceremonial sword, adorned with religious symbols, very similar to the type of weapon that could have made the wounds found on Sister Margaret. Also discovered were old documents from the initial investigation, police reports that should not have been in his possession. A forensic specialist re-examined Sister Margaret's wounds and matched the shape and spacing to the edges of the sword. Sister Margaret's body had been arranged, and her wounds formed an inverted cross, a detail investigators initially overlooked. Her murder was not random, it was symbolic, and carried out by someone with deep religious knowledge. It was also discovered that Sister Margaret and Father Robinson had clashed several times. She had reportedly reprimanded him for sloppy performance of Mass duties. There were also whispers that she had caught him behaving inappropriately, possibly with patients or staff. The reopened case focused on building a case for premeditation, not just opportunity. Trial and testimony. In 2006, Father Gerald Robinson was charged with second-degree murder. The defense argued that the case was circumstantial and based on an unreliable tip. But the forensic evidence, including the unusual stab wounds, the matching sword, and inconsistencies in Robinson's past statements, convinced the jury. One chilling piece of evidence was a handwritten confession Father Robinson had allegedly made to a fellow clergyman, later destroyed, but referenced in church records. While this wasn't admissible in court, it added to the eerie aura surrounding the case. On May 11, 2006, after a 3-week trial, Father Gerald Robinson was found guilty of the murder of Sister Margaret Ann Pahl. He was sentenced to 15 years to life in prison. The Catholic Diocese of Toledo issued a public apology to Sister Margaret's family and acknowledged failings in handling both the murder and earlier abuse claims. Father Gerald Robinson died in prison in 2014 at the age of 76. He maintained his innocence until his death, but the evidence remained damning. His case became one of the rare instances where a Catholic priest was convicted of murdering a nun, and where ritualistic elements played a central role.